I didn't. Instead, I helped a friend move into her new apartment. I eventually rejoined the living and began taking writing classes. I listened to my folks, and I tried to breathe a little deeper every time I inhaled. It wasn't always perfect, but I tried. Maybe I could be a janitor, I thought to myself, half-heartedly in line at Criff Dogs for the 5th time that week. Or a stripper, or a bartender, or one of those sex hotline operators. You're a terrible dancer, I reminded myself. Stop it. I went to the Natural History Museum and climbed inside a giant replica of a whale's heart. I folded my legs Indian style like I did when I was small, and listened to the rhythmic thud of a blue whale's heartbeat until a guard asked me to leave. I went to bars and parties and art exhibitions in Bushwick where I drank too much and stayed out too late. I bought fresh cherries at the farmer's market and sang the White Stripes at karaoke. I spent hours walking up and down the length of the Brooklyn Bridge, daydreaming and making fun of tourists to myself. I still had tiny explosions of panic, usually when I was completely alone. I saw my bank account drop down to 58 cents, and I cried in the Staples Print Copy Center where I had ironically just spent my last pennies printing copies of my resume. I would forget to eat, and then I would eat 5 cupcakes in a row to counterbalance it. I tried to hide the crazy from people by telling really bad I just got fired jokes. I dubbed this period in my life FUNemployment and pretended to be having the time of my life running around Brooklyn, but honestly I was terrified. I loved every single minute of free time, but I was also completely frozen with panic. One night, I ventured down to Williamsburg to watch Goldfinger in an industrial park. I stuck a temporary tattoo in my upper arm and drank Brooklyn's summer lager beneath the bridge of moonlight. Somewhere between the Save Domino Christmas lights on the side of the old sugar factory building and the Bedford L train, I started to panic. My heart rate increased to 50 times the BPM of the Blue Whale's Heart at the museum. I couldn't breathe. My fingernails were digging into the palms of my hands, and I wanted my black flats from Target to hold me to the sidewalk, but I didn't know if they could. I'm a mess, I screamed at no one in particular. But then something really rare and really beautiful happened. Something that hardly ever happens on the subway. A tiny miracle that only graces the broken New Yorker in their hour of need. The New Yorker who moved from another city to follow their dreams. The New Yorker who was born here and waited for decades to find out if this is where they're meant to be. The New Yorker who visits and falls in love with the place and is searching for a sign that they should stay. I descended into the nearly deserted subway, and suddenly I felt the roof open up and the floor fall away, and a guy in a beat-up American Apparel sweatshirt began playing the first few chords of Blackbird by the Beatles, my absolute favorite song. And that's when I fell in love with Brooklyn for the very first time, amongst the giant subway rats on the tracks, and the exhausted, lonely people sleeping on the stairs, and the dirty air rushing past us in the wake of the southbound train, and a skinny little hipster singing the only words that my heart needed to hear. All your life, you were only waiting for this moment to be free.